had an agent that was helping a buyer up in Flagstaff, and they were buying in University Heights. And deed restrictions are when somebody subdivides a property and they put rules on there. They may say, we don't want cattle, we don't want horses and things of that nature, or we want a house built that has to be a minimum of 2,800 square feet, whatever those things are. But some of the deed restrictions can get a little bit crazy, especially if the land was subdivided in the late 1800s, early 1900s, which was the case with this one in Flagstaff. And this one was adamant that only a male, female, married couple could buy their property.
Whoa.
That's it. So you could not be gay and buy that property.
I think I remember seeing that deed restriction because it was our agent.
Yeah.
And I remember I did a little bit of research on it and talking to the title company and found out it was like an old Baptist church owned a good portion of that land. And so they put in the deed restrictions that only a male and female married couple could purchase a home in there. How do you overcome that?
We called a couple of attorneys and said, okay, this is in here, but this is against the law now, because fair housing is a law that protects from those type of discriminations. And we're going, what do you do? Because once a deed restriction is put in, when they subdivide the house, you can't take them out. There's no way to remove them.
So the deed restriction stays with the house?
Stays with the property forever, because that was the rules given by the person that subdivided the property whenever they did it. And these laws didn't exist when that happened. Another one in that same area we had where they're like, you can't sell to a black person.
Wow.
What? Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. But that was what the deed restriction was, and there was no rules against it. So there was no way to, up until a certain point, that was enforceable, which is why fair housing came about in its first place. Basically, when we talked to the attorney, is like, well, nobody can go back and enforce those anymore. So
they're not enforceable.
But the hard part is when your buyer, who happens to be one of those demographics, is reading this and going, what?
Yeah, do I want to live in this neighborhood?
Yeah, like, is this someplace that's for me, or how does that come about? And of course, an agent, if you're a newer agent, you've never dealt with this, what can we do to protect us going forward? Because what happens when they want to sell a house?
But we had a happy ending with this one, right?
Yes, able to close, no issues. We did have to kind of help the buyer understand that it wasn't against them personally, in there, that, it was so written so long ago that they didn't have to worry about any kind of enforcement mechanism coming back. There's no attorney that's going to come back and say, you don't have the right to own that property. Another reason that you run through the title company, because it has the title insurance on there. And so they're also giving us assurances that nobody can take your property after the fact just because you fall into this restriction.
We can thank the good Lord for our Fair Housing Act in 1972 that protects all these classes.